Good evening, everyone. July 28th, we're in Select Board meeting. Do we have any public comments this evening? Hey, Quinn.
Hi. Well, I have a question about now that the town of Warren has been newly assessed. What is that? How does that leave us for the tax burden on the bond for the town garage?
How does that... I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, originally when the town bond was presented, it was guesstimated that the taxpayer would be paying based on $100,000 property assessment. So if you had a $200,000 property assessed at $200,000, it was basically going to be about approximately $100 per 100,000. Now that we've been newly assessed, does that carry through? Is that the same, or does our tax burden become what our new assessed value?
Well, we haven't run those calculations specifically, but I think I can loosely say that the assessed value of properties seems to have, on average, increased by like 2.2 times. Therefore, if your house was at $100,000 and it was, I don't remember the numbers that we shared with respect to how much the tax burden was, but if it was $100,000 where the value was $50 per year, your assessed value is now around $220,000 and it's still at $50 per year. The tax burden changes, the value of the burden per person doesn't necessarily change because it's a ratio of the estimated appraised value. Does that make sense?
No.
So similarly to the way that the tax rate will go down and the tax burden you owe to the town should be approximately the same as it was prior, so too will the amount that you pay toward the bond, because everybody's appraised value has increased. What we don't know is how much some people's appraised value has increased in comparison to others.
Right.
Right, like-
Being on the high end of that, is there any way to troubleshoot that? So, I mean, you say the average is double. What about those of us that it's it's quadrupled?
Then your tax burden will increase. And for people for whom that has been the case, it's largely the product of renovations, additions, or modifications that were not previously captured in an assessment.
To some level, yes, I would agree with that. But again, so then how does that adjust in the ratio of what's due, what's owed for the bond? Like, if you're trying to budget.
Yeah. Well, I think what will be helpful to understanding that is when we set the tax rate, which we haven't done. And we can certainly look at running some internal calculations as far as assessed value and how the cost of the bond will affect those values. But I think you could probably use the same calculations as before, knowing that on average, increases have been around 2.2 times. Because the numbers that we ran for the bond were all based on average approximations anyway.
But like I said, the number that you guys presented to us was based on $100,000.
I think we did 100, 200.
Yeah, something like that.
Right, so again, if your property has increased from a $200,000 to a $700,000, can you assume that now for every 100,000 I'm going to owe $700 instead of $200?
No, what you would, no.
Okay, so that's, I guess, what I'm missing. I'm not understanding what.
Well, maybe somebody else should say it because I'm not.
The
I'm not
bond
saying
needs
it.
the same amount of money regardless. The assessment is not tied directly to the bond.
Okay.
Before the assessment, they gave a number roughly indicating how much you would pay based on your current assessment. That is all changed now, but the bond amount is still the same. So
Okay.
if yours went up 4 times, you're going to pay 1/4 of that percentage roughly.
Right, okay, I got it. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Thank you for clarifying.
Thanks, Chris.
Nice job. Do we have any other public comments? Okay, agenda changes,
I do have a couple agenda changes.
please.
We need to put the August 11th select board meeting in other business because it conflicts with primary election night.
Oh, that's,
That Brent's made that request. And then you wanted to put schoolhouse paint color update in other
Yep.
business. And you wanted to add executive session for personnel.
if time allows.
Yep. And then I have a festival permit as well for other business.
Haven't you heard? We don't allow festivals anymore.
No. And then Carrie's wondering, because of her time restraints, if we can do an STR update before 8 o'clock.
Yeah, why don't we do it now,
Okay.
if she's here?
She's not, I'm gonna text her.
Okay. We're ahead of schedule. I didn't say that out loud. I say early times, yeah. But we could do.
After the OOT, we could have her.
We could do it after the local options tax. Or, okay, so we have a few minutes right now. Why don't we at least do the paint colors? Because that's fun and easy. We're trying to build some uniformity in our town buildings and their paint colors, and we were thinking of using the color of the town hall as the exterior color for the buildings in repainting the schoolhouse, the East Warren Schoolhouse.
Question on that.
Hi, yeah.
So I thought that, Tim from Warren, I thought basically the town wasn't supposed to be part of that. Roots Work was taking responsibility for maintaining the building, doing all the maintenance to the building, etc. Right? Because as I understood it, they were going to burn it down. So the town didn't want responsibility for that building or my tax money, for example, going to that building. So Roots Work was responsible. And as I understood, they had someone that was going to paint that months ago. And then the town stepped in and told them you didn't have 3 people give a bid or whatever.
That's-
And now I'm hearing, do you want to pave the parking lot too?
The parking lot, well, the whole thing belongs to the town.
Well, I know that.
If I may, just
Yes, go ahead.
clarify the situation a little bit. Roots Work gets a reduced rent, and
I know that.
they take the monies and the proceeds that they make and they put it toward maintenance of the
Correct.
building. And that is still the case. The town is not putting extra funds toward the building at this point. What we have done in coordination with Roots Work is say, hey, we are building out a capital improvements plan, we're bringing on a property management company, and we'd like to be more involved in the conversations about how and when we address this building. So we've talked with them together, we have apologized for delaying painting, we have signed on with another painter for a less amount, a lower amount, and we've included some significant rot repair. And I think that that's the major difference. We were concerned about just painting that building in the condition that it is in various places. So we worked with Roots Work and we've talked through it with our new property management company, and Green Mountain Painters has been hired to do a significant amount of rot repair and painting on the building. And that's happening this September,
I'm
August.
sorry, I can't hear properly who is speaking. Is that Tim Seneth? Who
Yes,
asked
it
that?
is.
Yes, that was Tim.
Thank you.
So I guess my thing is that basically they were dealing with it, and I don't think the thing was going to fall into disrepair. And to me, it was just one less thing for the town to deal with. You know, and they've been dealing with it for years. I don't know if it's been 20 years or not at this point in time. But it's like, why put more burden on the town, on the select boards or on the other boards, and just let them deal with it? I mean, I know all the history of it. I'm very well aware of that. But I'm like, why is now the town deciding to start to get involved?
Well, I think we have a new board and we have a desire to have a uniform capital improvement plan. And we'd like to see we've decided that we want to have a little bit more oversight with how that building is cared for. Rootswork has done a great job and we're grateful for the work that they've done and they've continued to do. And in conversation with them, they've said they're really happy to have us partner with them to build out that capital improvement plan and be more involved in the conversations around maintenance and improvements.
I've heard mixed on that one.
Well, that was the message that we got
The new board
here.
is deciding to do this. Again, you're dealing with something, to me personally, that should not have changed. And the board should not have gotten involved with it.
Well, you're
And
welcome
it's
to your opinion,
No,
Tim,
it's
but
not very
at the
well
moment,
thought
what
out.
we're talking about is the color that we're gonna paint the building.
Right. but
And
I'm
we
just-
are involved and that is the direction that the
No,
board
I'm
has
just- I'm just
taken.
making a comment on the whole process.
Okay, and you're welcome to that comment.
Right. Oh,
Do you have a comment about the color?
No, I don't give a crap about that.
Okay.
That's your choice.
Yeah. Joel, how do you feel about the color?
I'm indifferent honestly, because I think they've been painting it white. I would leave it up to the Rootswork to figure out what color that is, because it's not in conversation with these buildings, right? It's not within the scope of buildings here, so they don't relate to each other. That one can be whatever color it needs to be and not necessarily be this color of the town hall.
Okay.
That would be my opinion.
Yeah,
I
Kathy.
have a question. My memory of these things fade in and out, but the current color is essentially a bright white. And the colors down here are creamy white. Is that right?
Yes.
So we're talking about degrees of white.
Yes,
Okay. And the trim is the same color.
the trim is white on the town hall building and on this building. We're trying to build uniformity so that there's some understanding of, what are the town's buildings and have some pride and some ownership over those for sure. Also, from a historic perspective, given I'm gonna forget now, but I think it's the lye that was in the paint, gave the white a bit of a creamy color. So historically speaking, it probably would have been a more creamy, buttery white, which is where these colors come from. And we were trying to choose the sort of lesser yellowy one, and we like it over there and thought it would be pretty. Jeremiah, do you have a thought?
I agree with trying to stay with the more historic color and getting some uniformity among town-owned or maintained buildings. I think that sounds good to me.
Cool.
Would it be possible for people to say their last names, please?
Tim Seneff. So, from dealing with Rootswork and the color of that building, I do know that they like the white. Because I tried painting something like a little yellow. They didn't like it, and they paint over the part that I did in white, because no one was painting it. I was like, okay, let's paint it something bright. They do like the white.
Yeah. Well, we'll bring this to Rootswork next. And thank you all for your thoughts and comments. And we're gonna move on. Yeah. Carrie's here. Can we do a quick STR update, please, Carrie? Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for jumping in.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that you all have the STR update report showing the latest numbers.
Aha. Total approved applications, 152. Identified STR units, 445. Compliance rate, 29%. STR rental units with street address identified, 78.7%. Applications pending action, 7. Payments received, 35,400.
Yes, and then there are updates on page 2, just the latest with Granicus, which really no major changes since the last meeting. And Devin and Rebecca and I had a call, as we all know, with Granicus last week, but still just lots of delays, communication challenges. So everything is still fairly slow as far as working with Granicus is concerned. They I haven't heard back from Granicus about the next meeting. I'm not sure if they had emailed either of you directly.
No,
Okay, all right, so we're still waiting on that then.
yes. I can fill in there, Carrie. We met with just the woman who's responsible for the signing of the contracts, and we may or may not have blindsided her a little bit, but we just expressed our concern with the way this entire process has gone with Granicus, and communicated that we are not prepared to sign a renewal, especially not for an increase in cost, given the way we've been treated and this process has rolled out. And we need to have some lengthy conversations with apparently higher up execs to talk about what that looks like. So, sorry, back to you, Carrie.
Yeah, so that's where we left with Granicus. They have the updated grand list to continue sending letters, but there's still a discrepancy between what they've identified and what we see as needing to go out. So there's just been a huge lag in compliance letters going out with them coming in waves, which leads me to, I guess, look for feedback on what your recommended next steps are. Should folks start getting notices of penalties or not? To me, it feels really awkward given the hiccups that we've had and just how delayed things are, and we'll be asking folks to re-register as of November 1st. So just looking for a little insight and feedback on that.
Kevin, can I just ask
Yes,
a quick
please.
question, reminder? I believe you just said compliance letters went out. We sent out the original to everybody, right? And then when we realized that we weren't getting much action, we sent out compliance, like warnings is basically what we did, right? When did
Yeah,
those
but
go
it
out?
took forever, and they still haven't all gone out.
They haven't all gone.
No, because Granicus had identified like a third, I think, of the actual properties that needed to have letters sent. Carrie brought it to their attention, and they've been, sending them out in batches, Carrie? Is that how it's working?
How much are we?
Yeah, and they still haven't identified everyone. So they'll send out like 3 here and then 20 here and then 30 here. So it's just, it's not going very smoothly.
Yeah, so how can you think about levying penalties
Right.
on people
The company
who,
that's not doing their job.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's where the
we
penalty
were
should be.
very upset. And I mean, the question becomes like, aside from this, Carrie, what do we do? Do we walk away from them? What do we do?
Right.
I don't think we can.
It'd only be fair to do a penalty after the last letter has gone out. So if we could identify when the last compliance letters go out and then track it from there, that would be the most fair. Because we're dealing with somebody else's problem.
Yeah, Carrie?
The way that Granicus has explained it to me is that no unit will receive the same letter twice. So they somehow have it in their system who's already received the first letter, or the first letter that they've sent. Nobody, which states that this is their 14-day warning essentially before penalties can be enacted.
So they could.
We're tracking it.
They could send a letter putting a fine on anyone who received that compliance letter and didn't register within 14 days.
Yes, they could.
Well, that's what they should do.
Okay, so
I don't know.
you
Well,
do.
yeah, I didn't know they were tracking it.
Yeah, I didn't know that we could know that easily.
And okay, so that leads me to how are the fines, like what mechanism is going to be used to fine and penalize these folks who have not registered?
Isn't that laid out in the ordinance? Yeah.
Should be. There's a schedule.
Right, there's a schedule, but like, is that, I mean, are we asking them to make an online payment? Like, I just don't know how to enforce this.
Send them a bill.
Yeah, I think we have to send them a bill from the
Always
town.
been a problem.
I don't have perfect recall of the ordinance, Carrie, so it's very hard for me to answer these questions in a meeting like this.
Yeah.
But why don't we put our heads together and figure that out?
Okay.
But I
And
do
there-
think that we need to be, we need to be following through on the penalties if the letters have been received.
Okay, and then the last point is there's a link on that document to a draft of the second letter. So if everyone wouldn't mind just taking a peek at that, not right now, but at some point, and just offering any feedback.
Okay. This second letter is, sorry, now I'm confused. Can you let them? This second letter after the compliance letter?
Yeah, it would basically be the second compliance letter that they haven't registered, so they're not in compliance. They've already received the 14-day warning.
So the second letter is the penalty?
Yes.
Okay, so you have it drafted, but you just asked
Yep.
how we were gonna do that. So maybe that's my confusion.
Well, I'm asking if you wouldn't mind just reviewing that second letter and then I guess going from there about how to, like, are we creating a bill from the town of Warren that's going to be sent with the letter? That's what I'm looking
Okay.
for feedback.
Understood, now I get it.
Okay.
Yes, Perry.
So the other problem, I think, because, as a short-term rental, operator, the other fly in the ointment is when this started, it was originally due, October 1st?
October 31st is when registration runs
So-
through. So
Right,
they're
renewal's
paying fines.
Effectively November 1st, right?
Yep,
So we're, 3 months or 4 months away from that. And then, so the folks who paid on November 1st of 2025 are coming up for renewal already,
yes.
where 2/3 of the folks, haven't paid, I guess, to this point. If we're issuing invoices and fines and penalties, I guess that's fine. But if nothing happens, then that's kind of not cool, for those that paid,
Yes,
the first go round and are gonna be asked to pay again.
yes.
Yeah, it loses all its teeth.
Yeah.
And that's all about, the compliance and then how do we, that was the test of all of this. We weren't sure how many people would comply.
Right.
And we knew that there would be a certain percentage that wouldn't, and that's
Right.
not fair.
We didn't
but
think it
all
would
you
be
can
30.
do, all you can do is follow up with
66%.
them and try to,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
I think
definitely
that's what,
far below the
whole thing
compliance
is
we were
experimental.
told to expect.
So, Tim set up again, Lisa. So it sounds like we're gonna have to pay someone to enforce this. So then the question is, the amount that you're charging people like him to do this, now we're gonna have to pay someone to enforce this. So then it seems like a zero net gain.
Well, it would still be a gain if we were able to
If.
achieve at least 75% compliance.
If,
Yeah, as of the current, I mean, we've paid Granicus with the payments we've received to date, at least. We've received $35,400 and our contract with them is for $33,000 some odd dollars. So we have at least paid Granicus, we haven't covered the expenses for Carrie's time.
And we haven't received really proper service from Granicus.
No, we've received terrible service from Granicus.
Right, and so there's probably no hope of a refund or credit or partial, from them.
No, but
The
we'll-
only recourse is to go find somebody else, or just do it ourselves.
Yeah, we're clearly so good at that.
Well, Granicus screwed it up. We
We're
have
not
the
doing worse than
mailing
Granicus,
list.
that's for sure.
Right, because we have the mailing list. You just print up an invoice, drop it in the mail, and send it. I guess the question is, we're still missing those, maybe the ones who are because they're supposed to identify who's has an Airbnb.
Yeah, address
Did they at least do
identification.
that?
Carrie, can you speak to that a little bit?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the last part of the question.
He asked if Granicus has at least identified the addresses.
No, that's what, they've identified 78.7%. And during a call that I had last week with Granicus, I brought that up and they said that that's average of what's identified and there's really very little that they can do beyond that.
The brochure.
But they had told us 90%, I think, right, Carrie? Isn't that what we were?
Yeah, I think that's the stat that Josh Schwartz had said when they were having the discovery calls.
Well, maybe we need to bring Josh into this conversation. He's here, Carrie, just so you know. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, I do want to wrap this up. Carrie was just touching base with us and we're pushing off our other conversations. So just a couple more comments, if that's okay. Gene, did you have something to say?
Oh, yeah, I just recap in my mind. We're talking about short-term rentals, correct?
Yes.
And one of the reasons why we started to do this a couple of years ago was to create a sort of an equal playing field for the inns and the hotels where companies like Blackstone would buy a unit and they're competing with them. So we wanted to ensure that somebody who's in business, which that house was a business, not a dwelling that's being rented occasionally, they would conform to all the fire safety code because they're a business. They have to conform like any inn. So I'm not sure if that actually got into the rules.
Gene,
But it
just
seems like now-
to offer a correction there, that wasn't the premise that the board took in registering short-term rentals.
Well, at the beginning, that's
That
why we
wasn't what
started
we were
looking at
going for.
short-term rentals, because the units were over-rented, there were cars, parking problems, noise problems, there were a whole bunch of things that we wanted to regulate. But it seems now it turns out that we just want to collect money.
No.
It's a revenue thing now?
No, we're trying to cover the costs of gathering data to understand what the picture of short-term rentals looks like in the town of Warren and how that may be affecting or working with the overall rental picture. We're not trying to penalize anyone, we're not trying to make money, we're trying to cover costs so that we can have a better understanding of what short-term rentals are doing within our community. Are they hurting the housing market? Are they providing necessary resort housing for people visiting? What is happening here? Are these even properties that would be appropriate as long-term rentals? Are they specifically designed to be short-term? We want answers to all of these questions so that we can then start having conversations about how we might regulate if we choose to do so.
So we can't go to Vrbo and Airbnb and say, please give us all your rental locations. We're just scan and find out from there. And if somebody's doing it on a privately, there's no way you're going to know it. So there are ways to skin this cat without, it seems like we created a massive problems, and I believe that it's going to cost us more than it. But we definitely want to regulate this business and ensure that we have a equal playing field. But if we're going after people who have renting their homes occasionally and you want to charge them money to find out what, I think once again we started off on this path and we sort of diverted to another path, and it doesn't make sense to me. Agreed. Could be a better way to do it.
It's really it was because I was kind of at the beginning with the Housing Coalition,
Right.
you know, and it's mostly just to gather data initially, you know, and then once the data's gathered, then we decide, do we want to do anything about it?
Is there a
Regulate it,
problem?
not regulate it.
Do we want to do something?
Right.
That's the question, but we wanted the data first, so we're not just, you know, throwing darts at night.
Right,
Yeah.
and we were trying to do it in a simple way by hiring a company
Right.
that is supposed to be very good at this.
And they screwed it up.
And they're not doing a very good job, and we'll take the blame, and that's fine, but we're gonna try and work through it and get the data and go from there. Jim, did you have something? Okay, we're gonna move on. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
All right, Josh, would you please join us? We are going to have a conversation about local option tax, how it works, what it is, and why we may want to or may not want to do it. Hi, Josh.
Josh brought a friend.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Josh Schwartz with the Mad River Valley Planning District. It's my pleasure to be here. The Mad River Valley Planning District is our three-town planning entity, Union Municipal District, supported within the geography of Waitsfield, Warren, and Facein, run by a board, a steering committee with representation from the Selectboard and Planning Commission of each of those three towns. So thank you to our two Warren representatives that are here, both Joel and Jim, from the Planning Commission and Select Board respectively. We also have representation and support from Sugarbush Resort and the Mad River Valley Chamber of Commerce and the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission. So that's the steering committee that manages the Mad River Valley Planning District. I'm one of the two staff, director of the Mad River Valley Planning District, and my coworker Franny Hogue is the community planner. So that's just a really quick context for who I am and why I'm here. Or why I'm here is this presentation. And I was fortunate to be here back on December 9th of 2025 and did a presentation on local options tax.
Yes.
And I'm excited to be back.
Thank you for coming back.
Yes.
Sorry it took us so long.
That's okay. But following up on that presentation, and that presentation was an overview of an effort that the Planning District undertook to understand the tool that is a local options tax as a tool for municipal revenue generation, including an analysis of Warren's specific projections. So the Mad River Valley Planning District undertook, I'll get into the details of that a little bit in just a moment. But I'm fortunate to have Chach here, Chach Curtis with the Waitsfield Selectboard. The town of Waitsfield passed the local options tax at town meeting day this year. It was enacted earlier this month, and so to be a part of the discussion and having somebody who has some close understanding of both the process of adoption as well as the things that the town was weighing to make that decision and some of the steps that they're engaged in now. That analysis that I did in December originally started with an effort looking at local option taxes broadly in the Mad River Valley, which there was a memo that we created that was completed in September 2025, and we ended up and then we did some town-specific work in December. And so I have given the fact that it's been 7 months, given the fact that there's different faces in the room, I think it might be prudent to revisit some of those things. So some of this might be redundant, but there's a lot of detail. So each time I read through, I find it helpful. So hopefully it's helpful for others as well. So first and foremost, what is a local options tax? So the state has underlining taxes across 4 different categories: sales, meals, alcoholic beverages, and room tax, and each have their own percentages. Municipalities have the authority granted by the state legislature to enact a local options tax, which is 1% on top of the underlying state taxes across one or multiple categories to generate local revenue. It applies to items that are otherwise taxed, and there's a handful or a good number of exemptions specifically to sales tax. I printed the Vermont Department of Taxes general guidelines on sales tax, what is taxable and what is exempt. But generally, groceries, clothing, medical supplies, things of that sort are not taxed, and so the local options tax does not apply.
Just can I add housing, rent, fuel for your house, propane or fuel oil, gas for your car, like a lot of the basic necessities are not taxed or exempt.
Are you taxing weed?
I don't know.
It's 20% right now, so I think it's the 21.
Yes, they do.
If it's subject to a sales tax, it would be.
Yeah, I believe that's a different tax than the sales tax.
There is a 1% lot tax on dispensary.
Okay, great. Thank you. And also local options taxes capture online sales delivered locally, so online sales as well. So how are LOTs being used? Municipalities are funding infrastructure, emergency services, housing initiatives, economic development, a variety of different ways, or a variety of different items that they're focusing those revenues on, but really utilizing them as part of their regular budgetary process. One of the roles of a select board is to identify community needs, raise funds, and then utilize those funds to address those needs. And this would be not limited, the revenue from the local options tax would not be limited outside of what the municipality would like to do. There were 38 communities when I was here in December that had some local options tax, and now there are 50. And that there were actually the additional 12 communities that came online, including Waitsfield. There's been quite an uptick in the last couple of years of communities with local options tax. It's now 20% of the state's municipalities have a local options tax, and that comprises approximately 60% of the state's population live within a community that has a local options tax. So it is a very popular, it's become quite popular for municipalities.
And Josh, I would add most of the kind of competing retail areas around us, Burlington, South Burlington, Essex, Bristol, I think just recently passed one, Montpelier, Barry, all have local option taxes. So it's less feasible to say I'm just going to drive to the next shopping center over and get out from under there. So it's becoming very widespread.
So blackmail assessment.
Nope.
Essentially. Nope. I mean, you can still live in New Hampshire.
You can.
Yeah.
Next slide.
Yes, please. So that's what a local options tax is. What's the context? What's the why? And sort of what are the challenges facing Vermont municipalities? And I put together a really short list here, but it covers a lot of things that all municipalities in the state of Vermont are challenged with. Aging infrastructure, increased municipal labor costs, inflation, increased disaster frequency and intensity, increased infrastructure costs, unpredictable federal and state support, property tax sensitivity, and limited options outside of the property tax to generate revenue. That's what municipalities are facing, and they're seeking ways to address these things. And so that's why they are, the next slide, why municipalities are implementing local option taxes, kind of the other side of the coin. Reduce reliance on the property taxes for operating, managing rising municipal costs, capture tourism revenue, support capital projects, keep services stable, local control, capital economic growth, capture economic growth, proactive flood disaster relief funding, generating funds for local priorities without relying on property taxes, and administration being done by the state of Vermont with minimal local administrative needs for local options tax. So those are a variety of the reasons that municipalities have identified why they're using LOTs. There have been some discussions about local options taxes at previous times. The most recent the work that I mentioned in September and December was really at the heels of changes in Vermont law. Vermont law in 2024 streamlined the process for Vermont communities to implement an LOT. Previously, it required the legislature to act. Act 57 of 2025 increased the municipal share of an LOT from 70% to 75%. So while that 1% there is revenue, the municipality retains now 75% of that 1%. The remaining 25% is retained by the state and utilized and earmarked for the pilot program, which is the payment in lieu of taxes program for state property that the state owns, and they pay the municipalities a payment instead of taxes because they're tax-free. Because of the popularity of the program, primarily because of that, and that program, that 30%, the pilot program was well funded. That is part of the reason why the share moved up from 70 to 75%. There was a bill in this last session in the legislature to move it up from 75% to 80% of the amount that the municipality can retain. So that is something that's very much in the conversation. So as a result of these changes, that's why the planning district conducted a study of meals, rooms, alcohol, and retail sales tax receipts for the Matter Valley towns, looking from 2021 to 2024 to understand the potential impacts and opportunities it might provide for our communities. And then we followed up with the town-specific analysis. So the Vermont Department of Taxes publishes reports on meals, rooms, alcohol, and in-person retail receipts available on the Department of Taxes website. And we pulled 4 years of this data from calendar year 2021 through 2024 that gave us a baseline of what's actually happening with taxable activity in our communities. This stacked graph here details the composition of in-person retail sales, meals, rooms, and alcohol receipts in Warren from 2021 to 2024. Real quickly, the blue is retail sales. The orange, I guess that's orange. The next one up is meals. The gray is alcohol, and the yellow, the top, is rooms. And you can see the range and the change over time. So some of the takeaways that Warren's experienced growth in overall as a total. There's no alcohol receipts identified in 2022. It's not because there was not alcohol transactions in Warren in 2022. It's the result of confidentiality reporting requirements that the Department of Taxes have. They will only release that data if there's no less than 10 businesses within that category in order to create confidentiality of the taxpayers. So my guess is in 2022 it went from 10, 11, 12 to right below that number, and that's why that information isn't available. It does not mean that potential revenue related to local options tax, if there's less than 10, that information is still collected, just the Department of Taxes is not releasing that information to the public. So in this 2024 time period, the composition breakdown is 69%, 68% was retail, 13 meals, 5% alcohol, and 14% rooms. That's the Warren sales numbers in that time. I did a review of the 2025 data, which was really hoping to provide updated information because the 2025 data is available. But once again, the alcohol number is not included. My guess is that's because of the loss of Hogan's Pub. And so, but I will say that the 2025 number, the total number is actually the same as the total number of 2024, and it doesn't include alcohol. I quickly estimated in my head, I was like, alcohol in the last couple of years has been around $3 million. The same amount, you'd be looking at a percentage increase around 4 to 5% from 24 to 25. So still an increase, but not at the same rate of the previous years. That's what the in-person sales data is showing. So you can go to the next slide. So we modeled the Warren's LOT revenue based on those sales. And in that same period of time, 2021 to 2024. In addition of it's 75% of that 1%, there's also a deduction of a processing fee of $6 per tax return, which is dependent on how many returns there are. And I have a whole methodology on how we came up with that, but the bottom line is, in 2024, the number is $416,305. So that would be the expected LOT revenue for in-person sales across all those categories in 2024. One more piece we can go, so
I think it just popped up the note on the bottom about online sales. Is
Yes.
that what you were going to say?
Yes, and so the totals do not include online sales. Municipalities that have looked at an LOT before proposing to a community have really asked the question, so what is the total revenue? What is the online sales? There is not information available on the online sales. So but the planning district staff attempted to, we recognize that there's significant additional revenue streams that go beyond the projection related to online sales. And so we can go to the next one. We attempted to answer that question by looking at other municipalities that have LOTs in place in our state. You click one more time to understand the impact. And we looked at these 7 different communities. That thing's a little bit in the way there, but
I'm sorry, I can't
that's okay.
move it.
But we looked at what the state available data showed, what their actual returns were, the amount of money they had, and the difference in sales was identified as the online. And we see a range of online of total sales between 15 to 50%. We found an average of 32.5%. You can click one more time, and we came up with an estimate of a combined amount of that 416 would rise to just shy of $500,000 in 2024. So that's the range. This is the same analysis that we did with Waitsfield. Their number is a little bit higher, and they have different numbers and circumstances. But that being the range in 2024 dollars. Keep on going. And then there's another question that comes up quite often, which is what is the impact of residents, specifically voters, and so full-time residents. And we came up with a methodology for estimating the financial impact to residents for each of different categories: retail sales, meals, alcohol, and rooms. And these are the estimates that we used in our analysis. We worked with Waitsfield, and they said, those are good, but Waitsfield's circumstance, some of these percentages, it might not be 29% for residents and retail. It might be something higher or lower for this reason or another. And we actually changed the numbers based on that. And we're more than happy to do the same as a subsequent step with Warren, because I think that the characteristics of Warren is very different than Waitsfield and very different than other communities. But based on these numbers, you can click one more time. We anticipate that the annual household impact if based on these numbers is $178. So residents would pay about 26% of the funds, while the non-residents would be paying 74%. So that, again, that's the methodology we used. We can go, one or two more slides. So then we also, in the memo, looked at what if you were to generate the same amount of money utilizing property taxes, what would it be? So you can click one more time. But in Warren, based on that LOT revenue and the grand list value, and again, this is from December, some things might have changed, but we expect that the annual tax impact on a $450,000 home to generate that amount of money would be $282, which is higher than the 174, the previous page, which is 178. Thank you. Which is part of the reason why municipalities are utilizing this strategy as a way to raise funds for their community's needs. And one more slide. Just want to highlight that there's an upcoming opportunity that Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns is doing a how to adopt an LOT and what towns are doing with it a webinar next week. I believe Rebecca's signed up. I'm signed up for it too, because I'm really curious to see how things have evolved and changed. And then my last slide is literally just says questions and discussion with a picture from the Warren Fourth and the band that played here. I know that's a lot of information. Tried to do it pretty
You did
efficiently, but happy to answer any questions. Chacha's here too, and have any discussion.
I don't have any questions at the moment. What I'd love to do is open up the discussion to the room so that we can talk about sort of, are we interested in this? What do we want to know? Speaking to Josh's comment about how we could follow up and sort of try and drill down those numbers if that's something we're interested in, but basically having sort of a high level philosophical conversation about, is this a fit for us, and what would we use it for, and how do we feel? Yes, please.
Question.
And
you said
don't forget to introduce yourself,
Tom
please.
Marinchik.
Thank you, Tom.
You said the steering committee included the Chamber of Commerce.
Yep.
So they're very much behind this?
The Chamber of Commerce is a voting member of the Matter Valley Plan District Steering Committee.
Okay. So this tax will largely fall on them and their customers. No, I would expect them to oppose it. What do they expect to get out of it?
So the Matter Valley Chamber of Commerce Executive Director being Eric Friedman, who is the representative to the Planning District Steering Committee. We had discussions specifically in Waitsfield with the business community. I believe the town did in particular. And there was an opposition to the local options tax.
I can't say
As an
every single
organization.
member supported it, but the leadership definitely did. And the reason they did is because they recognized the need for kind of functioning infrastructure in the town. If most of those businesses' revenue is coming from our visitors and our guests, and our roads are falling apart and our bridges are closed and the town garage has a leak in the roof and the fire station's about to fall over, it doesn't work for them any better than it works for the residents. So they were in support of it to raise the funds to keep the infrastructure functional so that tourists and visitors continue to come.
They don't expect any increased spending on their interests, any new spending on promotion of tourism or anything like that. All of this money would go to existing spending, things that the town is already spending money on?
Well, it would.
That was specific to Waitsfield, so that may be very different for Warren, but for us, we have a significant infrastructure. We have a bunch of aging infrastructure that needs to be replaced. And we made it very clear the lot revenue is going to go towards that.
And that, I think, Tom, is something that we want to talk about. What would we use, if we agree that we should look into this, what would the revenue go toward? Would it be new things? Would it be an alternative funding source for what we already have? Because as we know, we've increased our budget significantly with the town garage, right?
Yeah, I don't want to monopolize this, but I remember the last lot discussion we had 3 or 4 years ago. There was a big push to use it to promote tourism in the valley or something like that. There's nothing like that yet.
Not from our end. I think it was also the Housing Coalition had a lot to do with the LOT at that time,
Okay.
and the proceeds were going to be used to promote housing, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so the
5 buckets.
Yeah, I didn't spend any time talking about the historical thing. I was trying to jump right into what's here, but you asked a really good question. There was a multi-town effort that was explored in the 2018 to 2020 time period. That effort, which Planning District was very much a part of, looked at both at a multi-town local options tax. To be honest, there is not a multi-town local options tax that exists anywhere in Vermont. They're all done on the municipal level, but it was seen as what is an effort that can focus on a variety of valley-wide and multi-town needs. The part of the challenge with that is
We have to agree.
That requires a governance structure, and it requires a bunch more to get into the discussion about what is being spent on. The difference here is that there are a handful of very specific municipal needs and municipal infrastructure needs. I mean, as I said before, part of the role of a select board is to set a tax rate and identify challenges and needs, and then utilize those funds to address them. There's a whole budgeting process. This would be funding for that budgeting process. So if the select board already wanted to give money for recruitment or tourism or something of that sort, I mean, that's the authority of the select board. But Waitsfield took a very particular focus, and there's a handful of a lot of the memo goes into examples of of different municipalities and the ways that they've targeted their funding. But that's all up to the municipality. The chamber is not anticipating or expecting or otherwise part of the conversation about receiving revenue from the LOT.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Chris, please.
Chris Bain, multiple questions. First, I'd like to know, Chach, what process you guys went through to ultimately come to the decision you did, and how many of these bits of items or all are being taxed at that 1%. Secondly, how does this get voted upon and implemented? Is it the select board or is it a town vote?
Town vote.
Great, yeah, great question. Yeah, so it's ultimately, it's the town residents and voters that decide. The select board, in our case anyway, it was the select board that put it forward and went through the steps to get it on the ballot. But it's the voters, and the select board, with a lot of help from Josh and the planning district, held information sessions and put out public information available to all the residents to get up to speed. But ultimately it's the voters. In our case, we decided to include all the different categories, the retail, rooms, meals, alcohol, and the
online retail?
And online retail as well. I think the experience of most other towns, the other 49 towns, if it's 50 now, if they didn't start with all the applying the tax to all those categories, they have subsequently added the other categories in most cases. So the vast majority of those 50 are taxing all categories. And I would preface, like, nobody likes taxes. For us in Waitsfield, the education tax is putting a ton of pressure on the municipal tax. And for us to keep increasing the municipal tax to pay for all this infrastructure, we would have riots in the streets for good reason. So this was an option, and perhaps our only option, to kind of share the load. Not put all the load on property tax, but share the load on retail, online, etc. And super important for us, and I think this would be important for you, we had a similar calculation that maybe 20% of the tax was going to be paid by our residents, the other 80%, so a 5-to-1, 4-to-1 match from our visitors.
Is there going to be a follow-up on that to really make sure those numbers are legit that way?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly
how
we would ever know, like, to the penny.
Yeah, so again, those are projections based on a methodology that I created. Most municipalities, when I did the research a year ago and I was calling communities and saying, hey, you have a local option tax. What process did you go through in your community? What conversations did you have? What data were you trying to answer? And I didn't find a single one who tried to answer the two questions that I put out there, which is, what is the online component and what percentage are locals versus non-locals? I didn't find a single community that attempted to answer that question, because it's really hard. I came with a methodology that I think makes a lot of sense, and I think it provides information, but most communities aren't. I didn't find a single community that attempted to answer those. They just said the majority of the people paying this will be non-residents.
So one last, so the 25% now that the state is going to retain.
Yeah.
How much of that goes to use and how much of it goes to, for lack of a better term, bureaucracy?
Well, okay, so there's a processing fee that's determined by the number of tax returns.
That is correct.
Are those the fees that are running the system?
Yes.
And then the 25% is going directly into the pilot program, which has seen a significant increase with the onboarding of so many LOTs. They're now using some of those funds to help fund the transportation authority and something else.
I mean, I know that's been a discussion. I don't know that that's the way.
That's what they said they did.
So 25% of whatever it is it's gathered, we don't really have a lot of say.
No, but it does in part come back to us when the state makes payments in lieu of taxes. So like when we donate the Roxbury Town Forest, that lot receives a payment in lieu of taxes. So funding the pilot program then does bring some of that money back into the town.
Assuming that's what the state continues to do with it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, they're legally obligated to do that. I think for us, like in Waitsfield, we don't have a lot of state-owned property in town, so we don't see much of that back. You guys may get more.
We have a few that do that. Yeah. Good for now? Camilla?
What I'm trying to understand specifically in the town of Warren is the definition of retail. Like, the numbers that you put up there that are generated by retail in the town of Warren, I'm trying to figure out if you take out, alcohol services, all that stuff.
What is it?
Who's, yeah. I'm
Ski
surprised
passes?
it's that.
Ski
I'm surprised it's
tickets?
that.
Yeah,
much.
ski passes, lift tickets, jackets, well, no, because clothing isn't,
So-
but ski boots, maybe?
So the
Tim,
Depart-
I will get to you. You don't have to keep your hand in the air. I know you have a question.
So the Department of Taxes has this, what is taxable and what is exempt. Exempt food products and beverages, exempt clothing, so on and so forth. And page, sorry, it flipped upside down, printed. There was taxable clothing, accessories, or equipment, but it gets into taxable sports and recreation equipment. And so goggles, so on and so forth,
Yeah.
are items that are
I'm
taxable.
just trying to think which businesses are,
The taxes assessed at the point of delivery, right?
Yeah, that's what I was
So
gonna say.
if someone's buying something at a local ski shop, the tax would be added.
right.
If, what's the name of the clothing, who has a clothing store in?
Someday
Waitsfield?
Boutique.
If they're shipping something out of state, tax wouldn't be added, because the delivery point is
Unless,
not in.
out of state, but if it's delivered
out
to,
of the town.
okay, so here's one. I wonder if we've done this yet. If RK Miles delivers windows to an address in Warren, Warren currently doesn't have a local options tax.
They're gonna charge you.
Those windows are not, like, that is not supposed to have a local option tax attached. Because Warren doesn't currently.
Food, liquor.
Okay, but hang on,
dispensary, alcohol.
can I finish my thought? When Warren has a local option tax and RK Miles delivers to the Warren resident, who receives the 1% local option tax? Is it the business?
Businesses sold it.
But it's based on delivery. So is it Warren that receives the 1% or is it Waitsfield that receives the 1%?
I think Waitsfield, if the business, sorry, but I think if the business is located in Waitsfield, that's where the
Until we have a lot.
Yeah, so I believe the delivery is related to online delivery.
It's, well, based on what I was reading, which is here, it's not only online delivery.
Okay.
And you can have this.
Yeah.
But, so,
Great.
just to add more complexity.
I printed a copy of that as well, so
Okay, yeah.
great.
So like,
That
more
would-
complexity.
These are the types of questions that are really important to highlight
I
and
think
to
the answer
explore.
is probably the same. Like, if Warren has the local option tax, but the business is in Waitsfield, the 1% probably goes to Waitsfield. It's just saying, hey, you also have this, so you're expecting it, and therefore it gets billed. That's my thought.
As a business in Waitsfield, they charge a 1% tax to the customer. Waitsfield pays the tax, the customer pays the tax to the business. I'm a bookkeeper, so I've been doing this for a while. Dispensaries, restaurants, stores, so the store charges, or the restaurant charges the 1% on your bill.
Yep.
This restaurant pays the 1% to the state.
Yep.
They also charge the customer the 1% to cover the 1% that they're paying to the state. So if I buy something in Waitsfield, I'm gonna pay the 1% lot tax.
Yes.
Even though I live in Warren.
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
Understood.
Even if it's delivered in Warren, like.
Even if it's delivered in Warren,
Because it's
whatever.
purchased in
It
Waitsfield.
started in Waitsfield, they're charging you the extra 1% on top of the 6%.
That's not my experience of it, Patty. So I buy windows, for example, from Williston that's had the local options tax for a long time. If I'm not picking those windows up and they're being delivered to a location that doesn't have the local options tax, I pay 6%. If it's going to a municipality that pays the local, or has a local option tax, I pay 7%, right? So that's where, and the state is very clear about that, so I'm just a little concerned. As a resident of Warren, buying something in Waitsfield, absolutely, we're paying that 1%. But if it's a food order and it's delivered by the restaurant, it shouldn't It shouldn't have the 1% as of now.
In Waitsfield, you buy food from Waitsfield, they'll charge you the 1%. Even
Well, we don't even have an opportunity, so maybe food is the wrong thing, like nobody delivers food, but if Sportive were to ship me a sweater,
Well, there's no tax.
So
shoes.
The question what I was trying to figure out, what I'm trying to understand is if we were choosing between all of those different buckets, for me, alcohol, lodging, food, those are not necessities.
I
And
would
when
like
you
to
get into,
address that.
Yeah.
okay.
Those are my.
Let me finish my
Yeah,
thing.
those are your-
And then,
you're cutting
and then when you get into retail, I'm
Tim,
finishing
she's
my
still asking her question, thank you.
When you get into retail, it could get a little bit dicey there. Like if there's a hardware store, in your community, I'm looking around and trying to figure out which businesses in Warren fall into that category. And since retail is so big, leaving it out, if we decided to only do the other ones, would have a big impact, it seems, on the revenue. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand.
Right.
And now I'm done.
Tim,
So, how many people here work for a business that collects taxes? One? Okay. So, I work for a business that deals rooms and meals and alcohol. When the taxes went to 10 and 9%, our wine sales went down 90%. Our meals, where people were ordering 3 courses, went to 1. Okay, so it totally devastated our market. What people do is they do buy booze in New Hampshire when they come from Massachusetts. They do drink before they come in the restaurant. So there's times where we can't even serve somebody because they're drinking before they come. Okay, so that cuts into our sales, cuts into my money, where, we just don't make money. I'm not gonna get a raise because the income is going down. So when you add another 1%, which brings it to 11 and 10%, it breaks the camel's back. We're also now having to charge 3% on people who use cars. So that adds another 3% on to the bill. So basically, the restaurant industry, you're destroying us because we're not a necessity. People drink at home, they'll eat at home, they'll eat less when they go out, and that's why we have no restaurants in this town. It's hard to survive in Waitsfield and Warren as a restaurant. And if you tax us like that, we go under. And that's proven. Look around. So when you keep adding taxes to us, be it our property taxes, lot tax, it makes it impossible for us 20% that you're getting your taxes from to live here.
so.
And it's pointless. So you're
Tim,
making it hard on us, okay?
Yeah.
Listen. So you're basically destroying it. I talk to our guests who come here. They don't want to pay the 10 and 9%. They think that you're just thinking of them as a cash cow. They're not part of our community. Most people in this area don't even realize that they're in a resort town. And they want it to be their own private Idaho, like this village here. And we don't take our guests as part of our family, and they are. They've been coming here for generations. In our restaurant, we're like 4 generations now. And you're destroying that. So if you keep taxing like you are, it's hard to live here. As a person, your Social Security is taxed, capital gains, it's brutal to live here. And you add 1 more %, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back. And I know you want the income and all that kind of stuff, but be reasonable, and you're not.
Well, in all fairness, Tim, we haven't decided to do this.
No, I know
We're
that.
having
I
a
thought
community
this was
conversation.
Ackland
I'm
twice
sorry,
already.
can you listen if you'd like me to listen to you?
Go ahead.
Thank you. We're having this conversation because we want to hear from our residents on how they think this would or wouldn't impact them. And one of our main concerns is the tax burden on the people who live here year round. And the reason we're having a conversation about an LOT is in hopes of a potential alternative revenue stream so that we don't continue to raise taxes in order to pay for the town garage, to fix the bridges, to make the roads drivable so that they're not breaking your cars, so that we can do all of the things that make living here possible. So there's no intention from this board, as it seems you're saying, to break the camel's back or treat anyone like they don't belong. We're trying to build an equitable society in the best ways that we can with the tools at our disposal.
But we're talking about adding 1%. I've dealt with this twice before with Bob Ackland because he was the first one that proposed this probably 20 years ago. The 2018 meeting, which was the Tri-Town meeting, we voted the whole concept down again. Basically, we stopped it. Now it's come up a third time, passed in Waitsfield, and you're saying you want to come up with stuff, but then you want to add you want to possibly add a 1% tax. You know, so if you add the 1% tax, then you broke the camel's back. Now, if you don't add it, which I hope Warren does not, which I think it will personally, because if Waitsfield did it, why not? Again, it's like, they do it, it's like, okay, well, there's other towns around us, so you're basically blackmailing us because we can't go anywhere else, so we have to spend in our town, opposed to wanting to spend in our town.
Well, I don't think anyone's blackmailing us.
Well, you can say what you want, as I can say, but it's like, that's how I see it as a citizen who's not on a board or
Thank you
that kind of
for
stuff.
sharing your thoughts and opinions. They're appreciated. Yes, sorry, Perry.
Well, I think the logic, as it appears to me, is that we're gonna pay one way or the other. You know, you said that the property taxes are gonna go up to cover the garage. You gotta pay for the garage. And then, or, you know, and it's gonna be X, I forget what the numbers were, you know, through property taxes, or we do the lot, and then it was 100 and change versus 200 and change. So, you know, we're gonna, it's, which one do you wanna pay? Is really the question.
Yeah, I think Tim's argument, although he's left, is that the burden on the visitors may have an uncaptured negative effect on the total retail sales.
Possibly, but when you travel, if you go out west, you know, go skiing out there, you know, bang, you get hit with a lot tax. I think in Colorado, Utah, you know, we've gone to Block Island and Rhode Island. You know, they have a lot tax. You know, so, you know, that shows up on the receipt and everything
Right.
else. So, and it's up, and I think they were, and the tax on a room was like 15% or something. You know, on a hotel room. So
we're competing with other
Yeah.
higher tax rates.
And, you know, with the property taxes, because I was a second homeowner, so I got the privilege of paying the higher, you know, property tax, you know, and that was all, never really understood it, you know, how that worked. And now as a, you know, permanent resident, you know, it's less, but the difference was negligible, I think. But I don't know, restaurants for the last 50 years have had a tough time.
Yeah.
So, and we don't even have a lot, you know, so to try to blame.
Yeah, I don't
You know,
think we can place that squarely on the taxation.
Yeah, and it's everything.
It's a factor.
It's you know, everything has to get paid for. Now, if the lot is going to be for new projects, then 100% no.
Yeah.
You know, but if it's paying for stuff that we got to pay for anyway,
Yeah.
then let's get the folks who benefit, you know, from out of state that, you know, benefit from us having, you know, plows and everything else that don't rust and
Right.
what have you, and keep the roads clean and clear and what have you, then by all means. I'm the first one to get in line as far as no new taxes, but, you know, getting, you know, 75% of something is better than 100% of nothing.
Thank you, Perry.
Yeah.
I do feel
Jean?
that restaurants are failing, not just because of taxes.
Yeah,
Lack of
it's a
help,
bigger
Lack
problem.
of housing, lack of, you know, everything.
Well, and I mean, there are ties there that we can't necessarily even see. Like with the rise of short-term rentals, they have kitchens. People are eating at home more. The cost of living has gone up. Inflation has made everything more expensive. People can't afford as much. It's not just because of taxes. Jean, I want to make sure we get to you. You've had your hand up for a while.
I was getting tired standing here.
Would you like a chair?
No, I need to stand, I'm old, so I gotta keep going. So, you know, I've been cursed with this idea of looking at things globally. I don't get focused. I was a consultant for many years, and I was able to solve problems because I don't focus on one thing. I look at the whole thing. It's called holistic thinking. And when I look at this, I look at the state of Vermont. Depending upon who you talk to, where either the first or second highest tax state in the country. If you look at our education system, we are the second or the lowest education system in the United States, and globally, we're terrible. So we're paying high taxes. And when I keep hearing people campaigning about lowering the cost of living for Vermonters, the biggest cost of living we have in the state of Vermont is our taxes. We're being taxed because we're a dysfunctional education system, and that's another discussion, but that's why we're paying high. And I proposed a number of years ago when I ran for office, I said, instead of us adding 1%, why don't we get the state, and I told the legislature, go fight for this, why don't we get 20.25% of that 6%? So the state gives us back, because they're benefiting from our tourists. I mean, this is the biggest business Vermont has, is tourism. So we have all these people coming into our tourist areas, and we're suffering for it because that's why we pay high property taxes for gold towns. We're funding the state on a regular basis out of our sales tax in the Valley and Stowe and all these other places. So here we are, the highest tax state, arguably, and our solution to our problem is to raise taxes. That's just crazy. This is like, and I struggle with this, not saying it, but I have to say it. This is like the dumbest idea I have heard. It's like an idea that came from Montpelier. I know how we'll solve our problem. We're going to have the towns tax themselves even more. No. One, we got to fix the system. We can't keep cobbling together and doing these crazy things. If our school taxes weren't high, and what was his name again years ago? He did a whole study. If we just reduce our state tax, because we're paying into that mess over there. We're paying for Burlington, by the way. They're getting money from the town of Warren for their 3 academies, 5 languages, and whatever else. It's the biggest town in the state. So
can we please refocus this on our discussion?
1%. And retail, and I just read that Basin's all pissed off now, right? Because they get stuff shipped to the Waitsfield post office. Now they're paying for your lot. I mean, that's crazy. And then in my own personal opinion, I think Waitsfield screwed the Valley. You guys said, you know what, I don't care about my neighbors. We're just going to take their money to pay for our project. I think that was unneighborly. I think that was disingenuous for you guys to do that, and there's no way around it. So
Gene, when we drive the roads from Warren to Waitsfield to shop at Mehuron's or Shaw's, we don't currently pay into a system that maintains those roads.
The state road is paid by the state.
Okay, but we might take the East Warren Road, we might take the Brook Road, we might take all of these other roads that are maintained by Waitsfield, driving in parking lots, all of the things, right? We're not contributing to Waitsfield maintaining those things. Are we stealing from them?
No, absolutely not.
So then how are they stealing from us? By asking us to participate in that system?
Buy something at Arcade Miles, I'm going to pay an extra % unless I have them shipped to my house, right? So I'm paying a lot. And then it's not that hard, my friend. If you want to find out what online retail sales are, you can find that out. In fact, the next meeting I will tell you how much that is. And it's a lot of money. You just go to the Waitsfield Post Office or Warren, and you'll see packages up to here. It is going to be significant, and that's why people in Payson are complaining. So, you know what? The problem is the state tax is too high, and we got to fix that. But for us to,
but even still, the state can't afford to pay for things that it's trying to pay for.
Well, how did they do this for the last 50 years? I've been here in the Valley 50 years. 50.
Yeah.
We used to get a lot more funding from the federal government to the state, and that would then come to the towns for paving, bridge repair, town garages, and that has slowed to a trickle.
Because, again, Montpelier, we got to change the legislature.
Because of Washington.
System, but I don't think we should tax ourselves
Do I have to?
because
No, you say remove.
we have a screwed up state.
What if they're legit? What do you think, Emily?
The chance
Yeah,
for
we
page.
change out to legislators.
Slate.
Blue to blue.
We didn't.
We can, elections
We
coming
could.
up.
We could.
Can I make one comment, please?
Sorry, yes, I'm debating as to whether or not I should let this person into the meeting. We're not sure if we're about to,
Get hacked.
get hacked again.
Close your eyes and hit it.
So everybody, close your eyes.
Get your phone out.
We don't know.
That's that.
This poor person.
Can you not mess it up?
They're a real person.
Oh, it's bad.
All right, we're safe.
Sorry. Quail. I'd like to hear from you, please.
So Quail, Lisa, it's Quail, Ruinski and Warren.
Bro.
So I guess the thing that I'm not hearing, and this happens a lot, is that we have clearly overspent.
Yeah.
This has become an ongoing trend. I never hear about maybe we can't afford this. Maybe our budget has been tapped. So why are we not having the same discussion about where we're going to save a little here and save a little there, and maybe it's 1%, just 1% that we save, that we don't, I guess it's a little mean for me to say foolishly spend, but maybe if we spent as much time thinking about where we could save 1% instead of how to charge an extra 1%, we might find ourselves in a different place. And I understand no one wants to tell their kid no. No one wants to tell the parent no. No one wants to tell grandma and grandpa no. But it feels like we've been saying yes, and we've been saying yes, and we'll squeeze it here, and we'll squeeze it there, and here we are, 50 years later with the same conversation, the same problem. Our infrastructure's gotten too big, we can't do it. Why has our infrastructure gotten so big? Why are we not having the discussion of how can we save 1%?
Well, Quill, we have that conversation during budget season at great length.
Yeah.
And we do say no. And we push projects off. And we save money through our capital funds to be able to afford projects down the line. We had a lot of conversations about not adding expenses. We were in a position where we have to build the new town garage, and that's the big expense. Aside from that, we've done a very, very, very good job in this town, keeping our taxes at least level. We aren't responsible for what we're doing at the state level, and we're not talking about the state level here. What we are doing is having a conversation about whether or not we have an appetite for an alternative form of funding to feed the existing budget for the municipality. And I think you're absolutely correct. We need to continue to have hard conversations about saying no, about not being able to add to the municipal budget. And we do that. Tom.
As people have told me before, we can agree to disagree. I guess I would say that I don't feel that we put as much energy into that repeatedly every time a new project comes up. We figure out how to squeeze it in. For example, the solar on the town garage. Oh, we have it already. And again, here's an opportunity to save.
Okay, and we're going to agree to disagree there because we're
several things
saving
that
over time there.
were brought up about things like that, where maybe we don't get the Primo carpet, or maybe we don't get the deluxe version, maybe we downsize a little bit. We've had lots of little nickel and dime opportunities that we have not taken. That's all I want to say is I think there needs to be a little more balance. I think we're out of whack. If nothing else, we're out of whack. I wouldn't say it's 50-50.
Thank you, Quinn. Tom.
Tom Marinchik. Question, not a rant. Those 71% of short-term rentals that have been identified that we can't reach or won't register, are we currently able to collect the existing room tax from them?
The state.
The
state
The state
collects
collects
it.
it?
Directly.
So they're registered with the state, or by what mechanism does
If they're
that?
on a platform,
Yeah, if you're on
Airbnb, VRBO,
Or Airbnb,
Yeah.
it
I
gets
see.
selected by the
And
state.
that's how.
And the lot would also be collected at that point of
That's
sale?
also true if they're listed through a Realtor, I believe, as well, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's not on VRBO or Airbnb.
Yeah, that was true in the 90s.
Yeah,
I got a letter.
Okay.
so that's good. Yes, Jim?
Okay, so if we're really looking at alternative revenue streams, getting back to short-term rentals, I think we should triple our short-term rental fee. Given, we have work to do there to make the process work, but if we wanted an alternative rental stream, we should consider using that as the stream and maybe making ourselves a little bit uncompetitive there, maybe not, but I think, that is, in 5 years, if you doubled it, you could buy a fire truck. But I think that we should think about that as well versus just the lot. I think that
Right.
there are other, there might be a few other ways, and that's one that I can think of.
The state of Vermont too, just so you know, tacked on a 3%, short-term rental fee on top of the 9% rooms tax.
And we would
So they're at 12.
And we would keep every single penny of the dollar, right? We wouldn't be giving away 25 cents.
Yeah, that's.
We'd keep every penny if we looked at it that way.
Because we would be,
It would be our registration fee, and it would come directly to the town, and the state would not be involved with,
strictly as a fee.
just as a fee,
We
exactly.
already charge.
A fee to operate the
Yeah,
business.
just
Rather
double.
than a
Which
percentage.
was estimated at like $76,000 this year if we had 75% compliance. So we're talking about, $150,000 versus $500,000.
Triple, right? I mean, 200 to 600.
I mean, the point stands. It is an alternative.
One night's rental, right? I
option.
mean, they're going, I think that we should be considering that.
There was just an
Kathy?
article in 7 Days about the housing crunch, and they had it, wait, was that, yeah, that was the short-term rental. It was either this week or last week. And it compared Stowe to Manchester and two others.
Maybe Woodstock, they've done a lot.
Maybe Woodstock,
Yeah.
yeah. But that was.
What were they saying? What was the premise of the article?
It was comparing fees, I mean, that was part of it, and how townspeople felt about it, how short-term rental people felt about it. So it's well worth reading, just for other communities doing it. But my real question, the reason I put my hand up is the 25% that the state takes off the top of it. Do you feel that's well spent? Do you get 25% value back?
No.
Yeah,
It's not up to us.
It's really not up to us. I think that there's, it's going into funding the state budget. It's used for things like payment in lieu of taxes for land that's donated from a town. It's used partially this next fiscal year to fund the transportation authority. It goes to various things, and I don't know enough about it, its specific uses to comment on that. Lisa just asked if you would identify yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Kathy Meyer.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay, well, we have sort of reached our time limit, and I just wonder if there are any last thoughts, couple quick questions.
What's your process moving forward? Like, do you have a timeline that you're trying to accomplish getting all of this working?
Well, no, not really. At one time we had talked about trying to do this for the midterm elections. That's not happening. So the next projection for if it were to appear on a ballot would be town meeting. And that's only if the board feels like we have enough information, we have enough time and bandwidth to do that. Alternatively, it could wait until, I guess, the following November.
The board could decide that's not something we want to
Or we could decide it's something we don't want to take up. Joel had commented that, Waitsfield just started the LOT, it went into effect in July. Next July, there may be more information available and a better understanding of how it's affected people, how it's working.
Yeah.
And that might be beneficial information for us.
Yeah, full year of data might be helpful.
When did you start the process?
15 years ago. No, we started,
In earnest, I should say.
boy, a year before the
Yeah.
vote.
Okay.
Essentially a year. And in the conversations, the conversations with Waitsfield when they were asking these questions about things, that's what spurred the plan district to, provide our resources to help answer these questions, and understand the landscape, and knowing that the legislature had made changes. We could see that it's becoming more attractive and in many ways easier for municipalities to have a local options tax, like no longer requiring the legislature to act to accept a municipality, which was a previous piece. So there were a handful of changes that happened in the legislature, specifically in 2024. So I'm not surprised by going from 38 to 50 in a singular year. And it's also interesting to see so that map that I showed is the Department of Taxes local options tax page, has this map viewer that you can zoom in and look at exactly what communities. And it's really interesting because I originally thought it would be destination communities and commercial centers as the places, and it is much broader than that. And looking at Westmore as a community that I believe had they had one category, and this past year added another one. Waterbury had the meals rooms and alcohol previously, and then 2024 I believe is when they passed adding sales. So it's interesting to see the evolution and understanding how communities, and that's been a great education for me, and I highly recommend to everyone to look at and understand what's happening in other communities. It's quite fascinating because the bottom line is the legislature sets the table. We are a Dillon's Rule state. The authority that the municipality has is granted by the legislature. The legislature says these are the things you can do as a municipality, and these are the tools you can use. The other way of the other end of that spectrum is called a home rule. And there are a variety of home rule states. So that's the reason why in Colorado, for instance, that's more of there's a spectrum. It's not one or the other, but as a home rule state, and the municipalities there can come up with more innovative fees and tax structures that the legislature would have to say that they can't use. And so the burden is quite different. And so in Vermont, we have limited resources and limited tools at our disposal. I appreciate Jim identifying an opportunity there with fees, but the reality is that innovative ideas for raising funds beyond the property tax are very limited in the state of Vermont. And that's just an inherent part of the system. So this is one tool, and essentially one of the only tools that's at the disposal of municipalities. So that's, it is an opportunity, and in the 18 years that I've been in this position, working closely with towns, I see the arduous process of the budgeting and the decisions that are made, and I see what's happening specifically with the federal government, lack of dependability and the turning of the spigot and the reduction in funding opportunities. And it's not just amounts of money, it's also those processes. The way that municipalities access federal money usually is through grant programs. And I can tell you in the Waitsfield example, we worked with the USDA Rural Development for funding for the wastewater project, and that office went from 13 staff to 2. So it's not just a reduction in funding, it's a reduction in the operation of those entities, and that creates a lot of unpredictability. So I think that I'm witnessing municipalities really struggling to meet their needs, and the local option tax, that's the reason why it's become so popular.
Yeah. Please, Josh.
thing we talked a lot about in Waitsfield was the affordability issue of like yet another tax. For us, and I think the same would be true in Warren, we have a pretty wide disparity of incomes and resources within our residents. We were really concerned about the impact of a local option tax on low income and fixed income residents. And one thing, working with Josh as we got more into it, the number you shared was for Warren was pretty similar, that the average impact on a household would be about $180 a year. That was pretty similar for Waitsfield. But if you think about what the tax applies to and what it doesn't apply to, you're going to have a really wide range. Like someone on a fixed income that's not going to out to eat all the time, not buying a lot of booze and weed and everything else that came up tonight, they're not going to pay anywhere near $180. Someone that's doing a ton of online retail shopping and going out to eat every night and drinking a lot in the local bars, they're going to pay a lot. But they can generally afford it. No one wants to pay more taxes, but again, if you're on a fixed income, you're going to pay a lot less than 180.
Thank you for illuminating that. I want to make sure
I disagree with that.
Sorry, Jean, I'm gonna, Jean,
Jean,
can I please allow the
Can't say, oh, it's only $180, because you don't know. You don't even know. But if you're on a fixed income, that's a lot of money. And yeah, okay, I can't go out and have lunch. I can't go and get a hamburger at Dayco because it's going to add another. So to just say that is just ridiculous. It's beyond comprehension. And just to add up a crowd. That could say go outside. Just let me
Gene, I want the other select board members to participate. We've had a lot of airtime and we're beyond our time. Please.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll put it.
Jeremiah, Harvey.
Do you have any thoughts, comments, or questions?
Jeremiah here. I think there's some slides that went along with this, so I'm having a bit of a hard time over the phone, I think, gathering the whole thing. So I've got a little homework I'm going to have to do on my own just to catch up, but I don't have any specific questions at this time.
Okay. Harvey, thoughts? Not there?
Here.
There you are.
Here.
Hi.
No questions. Just wanted to thank Josh for all of his efforts. I do think it's important for us to consider things like this and to consider all the different potential impacts, positives, the negatives, the full gamut. So this is a good start to the discussion.
Great. Awesome. Chach, do you remember how it came out in the vote in Waitsfield?
Yes. 2-1 in favor.
2-1 in favor. Okay. Interesting. All right. Are we good on the LOT? Can we move on? Any last comments? Now would be when Gene would say his last comment. Okay. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And I will discuss as a board what we think the right next steps are. Be in touch.
Yeah, please let me know.
Yeah.
We are more than happy to continue the
Thank you
discussion,
all.
do some more analysis.
And Josh, is it possible to share your slide deck with me? It's Lisa Loomis.
I can share it with you, Lisa.
Thanks, Beck. Thanks, everybody. I'll go quiet again.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Josh.
Just make sure you share the PDF version.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Because there's a handful of notes in there that I
Yes.
didn't talk about, but.
Thank you. Okay, we are moving on to Q2 budget review. Sorry for the delay, Patty. All right, I imagine I'm sharing a screen.
Okay, yep. It's gonna be hard for online people to see, but yeah.
Is it this one?
It's, no, it's a spreadsheet. You might have to go down. Yep.
Jeremiah, can you see the screen when we share it? I know it's small, but can you see it?
You muted him, so he might have a hard time talking.
He unmuted himself before.
Oh,
Hi.
there, sorry. No, I was having some technical trouble, so I had to call this in, so I'm just on through a voice call. I don't have a screen to see.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad. All right, where am I? My screen. Do you have the ability to email that to him?
I did email it to him.
Okay, Jeremiah, you should have this in your email.
Okay. Very good.
All right, Patty, take us away.
So I finally got everything entered into QuickBooks. So I've got the report printed for first and second quarter, third, just because there is some information there. The gray areas, obviously the actual budget overall.
Sorry, I'm having a technical difficulty. Why is it showing it to me like this and I can't move through it? Oh, sorry. Good, go.
Okay, so first one obviously is January through March. The actual what we spent, what's, versus the budget, and then how much we're over budget or under budget. Blue is April through June, and then green is July through September, which isn't done, but there was some information just thrown in there. And then the gray area is the actual budget column is what the actual budget is, and what we've actually spent against the full budget for the year, and then the percentage. For each individual departments.
Do you know if I can get rid of this so that this is bigger?
I don't think so.
There's like no way to see this.
I mean, I think it is what it is. I mean,
okay.
This is the actual last year. The gray is probably the most important column because that's what we have spent for the past 2 and a bit quarters, and then versus the actual budget that we've budgeted.
Well, okay, that's confusing to me. The gray, it says,
yours is blue on the actual last one, but yeah.
Oh,
so if you look at
sorry.
the budget column, it says budget is what the actual budget that we approved. And then the actual is the addition of all actuals of the 3 columns. So your first section is going to be income. If you go down further, then it starts the expenses.
That's what's gonna make sense. I'm like, why are we over budget by all of this?
So the first section is income.
Yeah, thank you, sorry.
Then you start with your expenses. On page 2.
Yep.
And then it goes on by department.
And we're partially through quarter 3, and you've included that here.
I just did just because the numbers that reflect on the actual are part of
quarter 3.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to really look at this, so.
Yeah, so are there any things that you
Neither have I.
are sticking out to you that we draw our attention to?
Everything's under budget. Everything will have, you can see red printing for under budget.
Yeah, I think what we're probably looking at that's most meaningful, like you were saying, is the percentage of the budget that's been spent, right? We are approximately how far through the year? This is the end of the 7th month out of 12.
Yeah.
So just over half.
I mean, because you're like 100% of VLCT dues, 119% of minutes.
So if our budgets are hovering around 50%,
I would say you're good.
then we're doing well. Some things are way over. What am I looking at with the STR admin here? The hardware, why is it 60,000? Software and hardware. Patty, is did that check not get captured?
I believe that got returned in July and it's probably not reflected within QuickBooks yet. So that will be going down.
Okay. Harvey, are you with us and looking through this as our financial master here? I think this was something you wanted to go through. Do you want to say anything?
No, I think we can keep going through it. Can we scroll down to the totals? Have we seen what the totals are?
Yeah, I think, well, sorry, I thought you had it in your email. It's just really hard to see on here. Do you want me to go all the way to the end of the spreadsheet? Or are you wanting to look through all of these?
I like to start at the bottom and then go up.
Okay. I can do that. You just tell me what you want me to do.
All right. So Patty, can you walk us through the bottom line there?
So there are two total expenses. The P&L is broken out by obviously the budget with regular expenses, and then you have capital expenses. So the very bottom line for net income, if you want to look at that, includes capital expenses. And you can break that out by a net operating income would be without capital expenses. So it is broken out by the two sections of capital.
Got it.
We probably, if you want to take out like due to the school, due to the state, we can move those to another section. Expenses and things like that if you want to change it differently.
Well, that was confusing to me when I was looking at it prior to this version, only because it's not part of our municipal budgeting.
I just added as an expense. We can, I can export this into an Excel spreadsheet. We can remove things. It's just I'm showing all expenses that we.
Right, but so that's where we end up with like negative $11.8 million. And that's confusing because what I'm trying to know is where are we within the municipality based on what we have spent and what we're projecting to spend.
Correct.
Right? If that's possible, that was confusing. It took, well, I mean, I figured it out because obviously they're huge numbers and we're not spending them. But that would be good.
Yep.
Again, it sort of puts us in the over budget by $4.4 million, and I think we aren't. So where are we looking at what we have actually spent of our budget? Is that captured here, or will you need to take those out?
I can fix that and send that to you guys. I can just take it out the capital. I can take out what we spent to the state and the school. And then get you a true number.
So then alternatively, we look at the totals sort of by category. And that's a better way to understand how we're doing within our budget, right? So like insurance, we're at 58.5%, which is probably right on the mark. As we are just a bit over 50%. We haven't paid out any of our special appropriations yet, it seems.
They don't get paid until November.
Okay. Right, because we wait until taxes come in. Yep. Building maintenance, we're at 42.5, so we're a little bit under our budgeted values, but we are hoping to get a couple of things done within the year. Highway maintenance is at 31.8%. We will be having some paving happen, so that's gonna bring us up.
You're going from the bottom down.
I'm going from the bottom up. Harvey said to go from the bottom up.
Got it.
sometimes I do as I'm told. Recreation, 3.57, library, 50.92, that's spot on. Emergency management, 41.26. Constable. Fire department is pretty significantly under budget. Do we know if they have any big things coming through?
I don't.
Well, we like under budget, right? I like under budget.
We've also been asked to conserve right now just because, you know, tax bills haven't gone out and there's not a lot of revenue coming in, so they've all been asked to sort of.
Yeah, so that we don't have to borrow money to cover expenses.
Correct.
We've been pretty lenient on
Yeah.
how much money we've actually borrowed.
Mhm.
We haven't touched the TAN loan. We've just been using the capital money and we really have not used a lot. And I say a lot relative, we've got only 500,000.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That we'll pay back when we get our tax money. So
That's
we have
wonderful.
not had to pay any interest in the TAN loan that we've asked to use, which has saved us a lot of money.
Yeah, great job. And we're making more interest with our consolidation of the
We have a
accounts.
higher interest rate with the bank, so we're making a lot more interest on our money than we have in the past.
That's great. The computer line is way down. Is that just like our contract services aren't due yet? They get paid probably annually?
Contract services.
What, sorry, that's not, it's like the, software support, looks like.
It's basically just been maintenance contracts. We really haven't had to buy a lot of equipment.
So it might.
We might be under budget for that, yeah.
That would be cool. Delinquent tax collector. Oh, this one gets confusing. Are we over, but
Well, we don't really, there's not really a budget number that gets put in there based on commission, just because we never know.
Right.
So I think that's why that number gets a little bit skewed.
Yeah.
There's not an actual budget number that gets put to that.
Yeah, she doesn't have a budget for this year and under her delinquent tax.
we don't approximate how much revenue we'll take in?
I just put whatever was budgeted in this book and we guys did not budget any money for
No,
delinquent tax.
it doesn't get, historically hasn't been budgeted.
So it looks worse probably than my list.
Yeah.
And the STR admin's gonna be fixed, and then we looked at the other ones. Auditors is at 74.9, but I imagine that's because we're coming to the completion of.
Yeah.
We hope.
Yeah. And then the select board expenses, that's because of the VLCT dues.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll take out what we need to take out and then get the true sense of what's been budgeted.
Yeah.
Bottom line, I should say, the net income, so to speak.
Okay. Thank you.
You guys like this format? I mean, I don't know if you want to give Patty some feedback. What are your thoughts?
Well, as I am a human that dislikes all spreadsheets.
I hear you.
I don't care. I don't know. I can read this. I understand what it's saying to me. That I appreciate.
Yeah.
I think it's nice having it in the 3 buckets here. It's helpful to sort of track expenses as we move through. I like that. It feels much cleaner and easier to understand. Lines follow one another. That might be my only suggestion, is sometimes following all the way across.
Yeah.
I like having the lines.
Mm-hmm.
They can make it look really busy.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, we have an option, not at this point in time, if we want to make our P&L, so to speak, smaller and utilize the same counts over different departments, and then we have different classes, meaning highway, fire department, administrative office, treasurer, we use the same lines. And then we can make our budget or this much smaller.
I have no idea what you just said to me.
So basically, like, if each department has an electric bill, we can put electric all under one, but then you can drill down. That's what you're trying to say, right?
So that under, in QuickBooks, they call them classes, but I would say classes are considered departments. So we would create a department under electrical, there would be a department of highway, treasurer or whatever department it
Oh.
is. So then you have a line,
So you'd know your total electrical expenses.
complete electrical expenses for everybody under one thing. But then if somebody wanted to say, well, I want to know what the highway department spent, I can run a report based on just the highway department. Food for thought for later, that we can make this smaller and more condensed, utilizing accounts for over departments. Instead of having an electrical line for highway and an electrical line for fire department, electrical line for the building, we can utilize it and make it smaller.
What do you think?
I think it's interesting.
It's
It's
open
just
for
to figure out, get the granularness of the data. We can sort of understand a little
And I
bit.
think for the town, when you're looking at the town report, we can make this much smaller and to say
Yeah.
overall, well, this is what we spent electrical over all departments, and then if someone wants to see into each department, we can run a report based on each department. We can make our report for the town budget much smaller if people want it that way.
Right.
There's a lot we can do with.
I imagine there are other ways, like, I think someone had fielded the thought that for the town report, we don't necessarily, maybe it isn't appropriate to list every subcategory within a department.
Each one of these, under each thing, I can just minimize them, and it'll just be one line. It would be office, it would be treasurer, it would
Right.
be administrator, it would be clerk, and it'd just be how much that person, not necessarily what's in it, just that one line.
That department, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I think that's a good conversation to continue to have. And thank you for doing this, especially after being sick, getting it done. I appreciate it. Okay, are we good to move on from quarter to budget review? Awesome.
Thanks, Patty.
You're welcome.
All right, on to other business. We've done our STR update. We talked about paint. Let's start with the most important things. Tax rate.
So-
How did we do today?
So we did well today.
Wow.
Patty and I used, sorry Harvey, we didn't use your spreadsheet. We used the previous one. I think we shared it with people this afternoon. Patty and I feel pretty confident in the number. And we would like to see you all sort of pick a date and so that we can get this tax rate set.
You felt good about the number. It looked
Yeah.
like you'd figured it out to me.
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't know, Harvey, have you had a chance
Did
to
you
look
see
at
my
it?
comment?
Huh?
Did you see my one comment on that one cell? On the new text? Yeah.
The one we did
The one we did today?
Yeah.
No.
I was lickety split. Okay, let's talk dates. What are you guys thinking? Like after? What's your timeline? You ready? You're done?
I feel it's done. I mean,
I would like Harvey to look at it.
Yeah.
But I think Patty and I are pretty confident that we're done.
Okay. So, Harvey?
I know he's traveling tomorrow. But
What's your timeline? Harvey! Do you see my comment?
working on it.
Okay, well, I have a very busy week, but I could make 20 minutes of time to do this. I leave on Monday the 3rd. I will be gone through Monday the 10th.
I'm gone next week too, so she's gone next week.
So are you wanting to do it this week, or are you wanting to do it when we come back?
We told the taxpayers, yes and no. We told the taxpayers we hope to have them out by the 15th of August.
Yeah.
And that's what was in the report,
Yes.
the articles.
I mean, it would be nice if we could do it this week. I mean, I can get things moving with what I need to do, apply credits and.
Yeah,
and
I
go on vacation
agree
then-
and would like to do that. And that way you have more time to process the actual bills, because I think that takes time. Harvey, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Rebecca and Patty are wondering if you'd like to take a look at the spreadsheet that they worked on today prior to setting a meeting for the tax rate. Is that something you have time to do such that we could maybe set the tax rate Thursday or Friday?
Yep, I can do that.
Okay, cool. So
I can't do Friday.
Thursday.
I think I can do Thursday.
Harvey, can you do Thursday? Jeremiah, can you do Thursday?
Yeah, I think we're already scheduled to do something at 3 o'clock.
Oh, that's right, the BCA. I don't know if I'm doing that, but yes. The BCA is scheduled at 3 to test the tabulator.
Oh, right.
So would you like to do it before that? How about 2:30?
That works for me.
I think I can make that.
Let's do it. 2:30 on Thursday, July 30th. Tax rate. It is hopefully a 20.
Sounds good.
At most.
At most. Because the girls have done all the work ahead of time for us. If we need to zoom in, that's okay. I am probably gonna have to zoom in.
I probably will too. but-
That's on the wrong day. Okay, good?
Great.
Good.
Nice job. Excellent work, team. Okay, and you'll have, you'll have potential scenarios with buying it down options?
I don't.
Or we don't have that option this year?
Use a spreadsheet and just plug and play.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay,
But yes, we'll have a couple scenarios.
okay, great. Moving on. What's next? What do you want to do next?
Let's do the festival permit because Bev is here.
Ah, Bev, the festival permit is for you. Let's do it.
Well, it's for the town, but Bev is. Bev, do you want to come on and sort of tell the select board why you're here and all that stuff? You're muted if you're talking.
I can unmute you. Or I can ask you to unmute you.
There we go. Let me actually turn a light on because it went from day until night while I was on this meeting. So I recently became the secretary of the Vermont Covered Bridge Association. August 1 to 8, the first week in August, is Covered Bridge Week as proclaimed by the governor. And I spoke with Marie and Amanda and thought that doing the cookbook club potluck dinner in the covered bridge would be pretty cool. So that's what we're asking for. So it's basically changing the venue of the cookbook club dinner from the library or the gazebo to the covered bridge.
Which requires the road closure.
Yes.
I like it. But I got married in the bridge, so I'm all about closing the bridge. Sorry, it was me. I did it.
Well, this covered bridge week this is the second year. There's about a dozen events, and I came on new, so I apologize for the short notice on this. But there is no other event in the calendar yet of this dinner in the covered bridge. So Warren could get potentially a lot of play about the covered bridge through that.
And would the dinner in the covered bridge just be for the book club? So it's not open to anyone other than the members of the book club?
Correct, but the book club already has an invitation out. I think they put a press release in the Valley Reporter for this week. So you can sign up for you have to make a dish from a recipe in the book that they feature each month. So you need to prepare a little bit, so it's not a drop in.
I see. But so anyone can participate?
Yes.
But they have to participate to attend?
Right.
I get it. Okay, that's cool. Well, we need a festival permit.
We have one.
Oh, I have it,
folder.
it's me, that's me again, sorry. Scrambled eggs brain this week for me, I don't know why.
So it's basically the Warren Library with the Covered Bridge Society piggybacking on because of the timing of the Covered Bridge Week and the potluck.
Okay. No alcohol? No.
I'm assuming no.
Okay. Parking at the town hall. The town hall building will be open for
Correct.
porta potties and et cetera.
Yep.
Water, I mean, I imagine that the library is bringing.
Everything will come from the town hall building. Yep.
All right, and what about the potential for a road closure? You're gonna need barricades. Has Jeff seen this?
I've talked to him about it.
And what does he say?
And he's more than happy to put the barricades, because, we'll be gone obviously, but put them down there. These guys can put them up, or maybe he can get an officer to come down and put them up. And then when the event is over, they'll just take them down and put them next to the side of the road. Either the highway department can pick them up, or someone from the fire department. And I will put out lots of notices.
So will there have to be an officer on site because of the road closure during the dinner?
I don't think so.
We certainly didn't have one.
Yeah. Well, I think the thought was to put a barricade directly in front of the bridge and then one up above, the road, so that people have an opportunity to turn around in both spots.
Yeah, even if they get down, they can.
Exactly. It's basically no through traffic.
Yeah, and it's an easy jaunt around.
Yeah.
So for security, crowd, and noise control, I'm just gonna add in here, coordinate with safety constable.
Yep.
You gonna set up tables in the?
Yes, we'll be setting up tables and maybe fairy lights.
Right.
I love it.
Take tables from the library building and bring them back. So.
Bev, do you think 5:30 to 7:30 is enough time for that setup and the event, or?
That is what Marie thought, and she's had experience doing these cookbook club events. The event starts at 6, so she figured half an hour to set up.
Okay.
And I think we can be pretty efficient doing that. Right now, the sign up looks like there's about 15 people, and that might count a second person, so that's what it is without any mention of it being in the covered bridge. I'll be at the farmer's market on Saturday, and I hope that I can give Lisa an email that revises the location for a press release that Marie already put in about the Cookbook Club for the Valley Reporter. So there might be some last minute additional people, but I don't see it's a huge amount of people. And I think I would have said 3 hours, but Marie put the 2 hours.
Well, I've changed your people expected to 15 to 25.
Okay, great.
And maybe we should say until 8.
Sure, great.
To give you enough time to break down.
Do we have to think about a weight limit? I mean, I'm not imagining tons of more people showing up, but is that something
I don't
that we should
think,
think
well,
about?
it already has a weight limit on it, and we had 80 people in there for the, what is the weight limit on the bridge? I don't know.
It's I forget what it is, but there is a posted sign, but I think we are
I think we're well under.
well under. Yeah.
But it's a good thought. No grand pianos, please, thank you.
No grand pianos. I'll take a look at the weight limit and calculate, 175 per person or something, and see if we're even close. And keep the town apprised if we see anything different than what we are presenting here.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's just gonna be important that you coordinate with the constable for barricades and signage, and he is also the fire chief, so they'll know what's going on, and hopefully someone's aware.
Okay.
I'm fine with it. Jeremiah?
Sounds good to me.
John?
That's great.
It looks to me like Harvey's gone.
Yeah.
So do we have a motion to approve the application for the festival permit for the Warren Library and the Covered Bridge Society
So moved.
on August 3rd from 5:30 to 8, 15 to 25 people? Dinner in the bridge.
It's gonna be awesome.
That's great. Do we have a second?
I can't say.
I'll second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Go forth and eat yumminess in the bridge.
Thank you. The cookbook chef is Jacina Bullock Prado, and I think it's going to be, so it's a Vermont chef whose cookbook they're using this time, so it's very Vermont.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bev.
Thank you.
Okay, what's next? What do we want to do next? Speed hump update. We have a
quote from
ECI.
ECI, which includes the warning markings.
I love that. And it's.
And they'll also do the markings
Thank
for
you, Patty.
thanks, Patty. For the existing speed tables.
Yes. So all in all, it's less than the previous one we got from Pike.
Correct.
Did we try for other quotes too, and no one responded?
Correct.
And we have grant funds to pay for this? Did you get to see it?
No.
Jeremiah, did you get to see the quote from ECI in your,
I did.
do you have any thoughts or comments, questions, concerns?
I mean, if a grant is paying for it, it sounds good to me.
Can I ask how much it is, because I can't see what you guys are looking at?
Yes.
20,250.
Well, do we want to do it? Well, we already voted to do it. Do we want to hire ECI to do it?
Well, nobody else has bid it out, so.
This is true.
This is our only option.
What I like is that it's a very similar sum to what Pike quoted us last year. And they're including the markings.
Great.
So it seems reasonable. Do we have a motion
Make a motion?
to approve the quote from ECI in the amount of $20,250 for the remaking of the speed humps, tables, and markings per VHB specifications?
Correct.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. August 11th.
So Brent is wondering if the select board would consider moving the August 11th meeting to another night so that the select board may fulfill their duties as Board of Civil Authority members by assisting with the primary election on that day. I don't know what people's schedules look like that week.
He wants us to reschedule entirely.
Because obviously the polls are open from 7 to 7, and there's work to do afterwards. So.
And we just scheduled a BCA meeting for the Thursday.
And typically Monday doesn't work because Ruth generally has a meeting in here on Monday, so it would have to be
I can't do Wednesday.
Wednesday or Friday. I don't really want a meeting on Friday afternoon.
I really don't want to do that. I'm happy to help at the polls at a different time that day.
Okay. I mean, I think we've had select board meetings during election times in the past, so.
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
I can come earlier and help in the polls during the day if that helps. So that we can-
Yeah, if that's something he hasn't reached out to ask for that. Jeremiah, what are your thoughts?
I should be pretty available that day for anything we need.
Okay, well, I'm on such a tight schedule in August that if we try and move it, we're just not gonna have it.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I totally understand his request and I think we have to deny it. Sorry, Brent.
We could start the meeting at 7 after the polls close, instead of starting at 6:30, and we could just not do any of the post-election tear down, if that's
If that's
more
helpful, we
Okay,
could do
we could do
that. That would be fine, yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
as another idea.
Yeah. Do you think that's a good idea? Why don't we just do that? Let's do that. We'll move it to 7.
Okay.
We'll get to be here even later.
We don't have
Did
much
you catch
time.
that, Jeremiah? We're gonna move that one to 7.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right, town garage update. We drilled a well to 800 feet and got 1.1 gallons per minute. And we need 5. So we are discussing what to do and how to proceed, and there are a few options on the table. They haven't installed the pump yet. They didn't hydrofrac. Sorry, I keep screwing up the camera.
I think it's just overhead.
They are suggesting, I don't even want to go into what they're suggesting. I spent a great deal of time today on the phone with a dowser, asking if there is a way to sort of help us make this decision. And they were really wonderful. His name is Doug Easter. He talked me through sort of, what he does, what he can discover, and specifically how he can follow veins of water and know approximate flow rates of those veins. So he thinks it would be helpful if he came down and sort of investigates the vein that we did hit in some capacity, because we found water. Is that a larger vein that we just happened to get a fissure crack from? And if we were to hydrofrac, we could then realize the full, 15 to 25 gallons per minute that might be in the vein, just in the adjacent area to where our current hole is. Or if that's not the case, is there a vein maybe further up at 300 feet or 400 feet that is in the nearby area where we could hydrofrac at a different depth that would allow for greater water production? And if none of that is true, identifying where another 2 veins would intersect. He prefers to find where 2 substantial water veins intersect in a given space and drill there, because it increases the likelihood of a higher water yield. It's not science, so he won't guarantee that you're going to get what he says you're going to get. In his experience, he's been doing this for 50 years. He said he's dug 2 or 3 springs that haven't yielded water of all of the projects he's been a part of. He's never drilled and not hit water. But he won't guarantee his work. And he also doesn't charge anything. He says he doesn't charge. It might mess up whatever's working for him. And it's up to us if we decide to give him something. So I chatted with Andrew about that at length today. He and I are in agreement that we need to have a sustainable water source for this facility. There were a couple of suggestions about like having a storage tank in the building that we would fill from an alternative source, which is going to take up valuable space that we don't necessarily have. We've already reduced the size of the building to help keep costs down. There was a potential of like pulling the wash bay water off of the fire pond and having another wet tap into the fire pond. That wet tap that we've already looked at doing is a $30,000 ask, so I don't know how that saves us much money.
Well, and the fire pond is for
Fire suppression, and I'm
so-
really concerned about using that capacity in alternative forms. And there was another, they also suggested upgrading the pump for $9,000, but that still doesn't give us the yield that we require to do the work that needs to be done washing trucks. So he and I were in agreement that in a world where we can't really know anything because it's all underground, let's find out what we can. And if the dowser can help us answer some of those questions and point us in the right direction, it's better than a shot in the dark. Yes, Perry?
I would say maybe incentivize them, give them, $100 for every gallon he finds per minute.
It doesn't work that way.
Well, you can pay him what you want, you said, right?
Yes.
Right. So if he finds 5 gallons, you give him $500. But what about if you put a gutter on the roof and then you put some sort of water storage underground so it doesn't freeze outside the building?
It's a great idea.
Because it's going to be a big roof, no?
Yep.
Some kind of water collection system
That could supplement.
with a cistern.
Yeah, that could supplement the 1 gallon a minute or whatever you end up with. How many gallons do they need to have like all at once?
The building, the engineers specify 5 gallons per minute for the draw required for washing the town trucks. 5 trucks.
So if they wash
Each
one
day.
truck a day, I guess.
No, they wash
if it
5
doesn't-
trucks
all at the
in
same
one
time?
day, right after each
Oh,
other,
right
after
after the
they
other.
plow to get all the salt off
So
now.
I guess then you gotta do the math.
We've done the math.
How many gallons do they use from one 5 truck washing?
Yeah, we've done all that, and we don't have it.
Oh.
That's why we need.
Well, that's what I'm saying. How big a tank would you need to stick under the ground to have one rainstorm, fill it up?
Right. I don't know, but that's a good question, and I'm gonna ask it.
Yeah.
Dorothy's the dowser.
Dorothy Todd is a dowser.
She did her well. We got 100 gallons a minute.
Wow, I'm so
So you
jealous.
might,
100 gallons a minute?
Send the water
Let's
truck
pipe it
over
from
here.
Joel. Jeez. Does anyone have Dorothy's contact information
Yes.
they can send me? Thank you.
496-5280. 5,280.
And does she do something similar? Like she can have an understanding of approximate.
you have to talk to Dorothy.
Okay, I'll talk to Dorothy.
It worked for us.
Great. What do you guys think about that approach? I don't want to make these decisions unilaterally.
Can they drill deeper?
They didn't recommend that.
Oh, they didn't recommend that. Why?
But I don't really want to spend any more money before we at least, I believe in dowsing. Andrew has said to me 1,000 times, I am a skeptic of dowsing and I know it works. I'm like, so I'm really confused.
They
But
know
also, it works. I don't know why.
Right.
Quail, you got any thoughts?
I would agree. I think that you can't explain it, but more often than not, it works.
More often than not, it works.
There you
So
go.
in a world where we can't see underground, might as well.
You might as well have a favorable chance.
A favorable chance.
As opposed to
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, Jeremiah.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely worth investigating. Like I said, I've seen it done a handful of times, and each time it was shocking how well it worked. I've even had a Caterpillar corporate use the dowser at one point to find a broken water line, and despite all their ground radar stuff, they couldn't find it, but the dowser did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think it's worth our time,
okay.
because that's a hell of a well we've dug there, and I would be suspicious of that well continuing to work long term with how little it seems to be producing.
Right.
It's pretty much what I get, 600 feet.
The same.
Well, and for an average home, the reserve means it's fine. And it replenishes fast enough, but we have a much higher usage. Yeah. Okay, well, I will call Dorothy and we will continue with the path of a dowser. I have asked REARC, they fielded the putting a second water line through the foundation, and Jeremiah and I were talking with them about that, and that seemed like a good idea, but I recently asked them if couldn't they just tee off of the existing line, a couple of curb stops, and that should be fine. So they're asking, trying to just keep the costs down, because a curb stop into the existing water line is going to be less than coring through the foundation and new piping and etc. Does that sound okay with you, Jeremiah?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, if they say okay. So fun. Okay, that's the well. Do we need to can we skip do you have anything you want to update us on MRVPD? Or we can put it on the next one?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty.
Okay. Harvey's gone. He's the one who wanted to know about the audit, so we'll skip it.
Yeah, there's not really an update anyway.
Let's go on to signatures. Thank you all for being here.
Good night. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay, this one's done and only need payroll.
Move to approve payroll in the amount of 7904. It looks like a month.
4. I don't know.
It's a 9.
Did you read it?
Yeah.
Rebecca
39
does.
or
34.
$34,122.44.
Do we have a second? Jeremiah, that's you.
I second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. Move to approve accounts payable for the amount of $104,879.28.
Second.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. There you signed it. And, oh, that's the breakdown. I had one question.
There's only one accounts payable.
Yeah, I see that. There was something I didn't know what it was. I should have asked before. Oh, yeah, Viking Sieves Corp.
That's where Andrew gets a lot of his parts for the trucks.
Oh, Viking. Should have known that. Okay, that's you. Apparently
We
approved
approved
this
it, but we
and
didn't
I
sign it.
didn't sign it. Sorry. Do I need all of them?
No, you just, and then that's just in there as a placeholder.
To remind us that we haven't done that.
I'm hoping that maybe he can come on the 11th. Because August is...
Does he want to come?
Yeah, we've been playing phone tag.
Oh, he wants to come back?
Yep.
He didn't give up?
Nope.
No. Okay, move to go into executive session. I'm sorry, we'll keep it short.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, John.
Should we...